The human species started out as a forager species. Long before we were growing food, long before we were even hunting, we were foragers. This is exactly the lifestyle that our species is designed for, traveling in bands, collecting goods for our use, and sharing them within tribes, within communities. So in a sense, we see what we're doing here as a modern adaptation, an urbanized adaptation to exactly the form of life that our species was designed for. I would like to see us go back to doing that in real terms.
They're not homeless or poor. They call themselves Freegans.
Freegan.
Freegans. Freegans.
Freegans.
Freegan.
Part vegan, part free.
They go out at night and collect leftover food from restaurant and store trash bins.
I haven't bought food in over a year and a half.
They eat food that others throw away.
Dumpster diving.
Most of the good food is buried underneath just like cabbage.
And a lot of them have a very serious message.
We're wasting enough food to literally feed every hungry person on the planet.
Freegans are choosing, not necessarily out of an economic necessity, but out of principle, to reuse this stuff so that we're not contributing to these corporations that are destroying the planet.
I don't know, this kind of skews me out.
Anything that you can get in a store, I can get outside the same store 3 hours later.
Wait a second. What now? This is what food should look like. Warm, fresh, awesome. There's no way you can get stuff like this in the trash. Why would you go digging through this when you can dig in to this?
'Tis the season to be jolly. La 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 la, la la la. Now we done.
That little nugget on the left is me, at a much younger age. As you could probably guess, I've never had to work too hard for my food. Over the years, I blossomed into a typical young consumer, settling for the time being in a Brooklyn townhouse with 5 other roommates.
Overconsumptive, resource-destroying economy is unsustainable, unjust, and is threatening the future of life on this planet.
Something tells me that the Freegans would want my company about as much as I would want theirs. I mean, after all, my idea of changing the world is coloring my hair. So what does this strange girl have to do with the Freegans, you say? Well, I'll tell you. I'm in my final semester of college. My student loans are maxed out and my income is $0.
The cost of college, it's something a lot of parents have conversations about these days, especially during these tough economic times.
I could sure use a decrease in my food cost. A food cost of 0 would be pretty cool. The Freegans are making some pretty bold claims.
Can you live eating only food that you found in the trash?
Pretty much.
Find all they need to survive in the trash.
People could live off the food that's being thrown away.
There's enough, they say, so that they would never have to buy food.
It makes me able to pay my rent and my bills.
It's good to know if you change your standards of cleanliness a little, there are other options.
Yeah, well, it's a difficult decision to make, and it's really, where do you get the bang for your buck? Mm-hmm. Yeah. A lot of families are asking those questions now.
And well, I may be just broke enough to listen. Digging through the garbage isn't my idea of a party, but if this guy can do it, then surely I can too. So I decided to take on this Freegan challenge and live like a Freegan for 1 whole month, eating only food I personally foraged from the garbage bags and bins along the streets of this great city I call home. So all right, wasteful, overconsumptive society, bring it on.
This land is your land, and this land is my land. From the California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. As I went a-walking that ribbon of highway, I saw above me that endless skyway, saw below me that golden valley. This This land was made for you and me.
There's a group of people called Freegans who say, don't knock it until you've tried it.
I roamed and rambled, and I followed my footsteps to the sparkling sands of her diamond desert. All around me, a voice was sounding. This land was made for you and me.
30 days of no partying, nothing. God, I would
party.
die.
I just have to go find beer in the trash and then put it in my bag.
If your mom knew, she would kill you.
Push your pocket scarf down.
These are my parents. For some reason, I decided to not mention my little garbage project, but the ones I did tell had quite a lot to say.
I'm not gonna eat any of Kat's food, no. Ew.
Even if I was homeless, I would mug people and take their fresh food.
I would starve.
Eating food from the garbage?
Someone else is throwing it away, so why would I want it?
Would I ever eat garbage from a dumpster or a trash can? Yeah.
If I had no money and I was starving hungry.
Would I ever eat food from a garbage? Probably not.
In New York City, it's a lot of just bags on the street. So I'm gonna have to just go up and untie bags and start sorting through them and.
Please wear gloves. Please wear gloves.
Do you have any? I don't have any gloves. I just have mittens.
You know, you could get food poisoning.
Rat poison.
Salmonella, E. coli.
Hepatitis.
Botulism.
Food in the best of situations isn't always kept in a very sanitary manner.
Produce, eating any sort of meats out of the dumpster. It might have an expiration date on it, and it might not, and if it looks good, it may not be good.
Money stores and stuff put rat poisoning and stuff on their food so to keep the rats away and to keep homeless people from picking in the garbage.
But that doesn't really happen. Like, I have so many people.
It does happen if somebody said it.
I said that on camera too. I said
Just be careful.
People have eaten food out of dumpsters and died.
Everybody thinks I'm gonna die. They don't think I'm gonna get sick. What do you think?
I mean, I guess you could.
Considering everyone's understandable concerns, coupled with my lack of health insurance, I decided to have my college health clinic monitor my demise, beginning with a pre-experiment checkup.
Everything, in fact, is normal, except your cholesterol. Your cholesterol is very, very slightly elevated.
Really?
Okay, your cholesterol is 206. Now,
my cholesterol's too high.
Upper limit of cholesterol is 200.
Okay.
I can't imagine why my cholesterol would be a little high.
Now, for anybody to embark upon this kind of an experiment, you are about as well equipped to do it as anybody.
Now, an undertaking such as this one requires more than just being physically fit. You'd have to be mentally prepared as well. So imagine my relief when I tracked down author and godfather of dumpster diving, John Hoffman. He preferred to do an interview over the phone, which was too bad because I found once I got him on the phone, he had an opinion or two.
But let's face it, people need food. I was an army medic, for God's sake. Everybody is drinking a whole lot. Like that this was something that homeless people did. I would get on radio stations. One day, I was sitting on the bus. I just don't know why vegetarians don't manage to arrange a lot more slaughterhouse tours for people. That's another form of waste. And politics is the same way. Then they just casually reveal they have hepatitis. Then all of a sudden, you start reformulating your feelings about them. That is part of
As it turns out, John Hoffman and Adam Weissman are far from being alone in their love of garbage.
I think going to the dumpster is one of the most exciting things you can do. It's like Christmas every day.
That's a functioning basement down there, even though it looks like deep storage.
The idea that our materials have to work for us instead of us working for materials.
Dumpster diver, dude. Yeah, I'm a righteous
dumpster diver dude.
Like the old saying, one man's trash, another man's treasure. It's completely
Bottom
true.
of a barrel. Yeah, I'm a righteous dumpster diver dude. Yeah, I'm a righteous dumpster diver dude.
I'm a scavenger by nature, so I don't mind picking up something else that might be useful or interesting. There's just so much that they throw away. Almost every trip I load up my car to the brim so that I can't carry any more. Dumpster food tastes much better, you know.
Dumpster diver dude. My letterhead has many styles because it comes from the circular file. All my favorite music, someone else refused it. I get all of my apparel from the bottom of a barrel. Yeah, I'm a righteous dumpster diver dude. Yeah, I'm a righteous dumpster diver.
There's dumpster diving t-shirts, underwear. Got some coffee from the trash? Represent. Even your dog can get in on the action.
Yeah, I'm a righteous dumpster diver dude.
And I haven't even gotten to the best part. The Freegan dinner party. That's right. Everything you see here is from the trash. And check out all the leftovers. This just keeps getting better and better. Archie would rather be dumpster diving? That's beginning to sound like a great idea.
This is harder than I thought it would be. I thought I'd just go to a grocery, like the first grocery store down the street, and just be like, okay, there's the trash, and I'm gonna go get it. I think that there's... Dude! God, come look at this! Look at how easy that was! Oh, I love eggplant. Is this a potato? Yeah. I don't know, some sort of... It smells. Man, I should have brought another bag. This is what kind of creeps me out. Oh yeah, that's actual trash. Something's wrong with the banana. Okay. Breakfast.
That does not look like an appetizing potato.
I don't think this is a potato.
Yeah, it is. Smell it. It's a yam, maybe. Is that what a yam looks like?
I don't know what a yam is.
It's kind of a little hunk out of the middle where it wasn't in the garbage, like, and I'll take a bite. No. A turnip. Is it a turnip?
It's really big.
It's really big.
It's white like a...
It's a root. It's a root.
I think it's a beet.
Aren't beets red?
I think a beet. I know, but aren't you when you soak them in vinegar? Don't they turn into beets?
That's a pickle.
No, that's a cucumber.
No, a beet. I think a beet is a beet. Always.
I never did identify my mystery vegetable.
So do you think I should peel the skin of the eggplant?
You need to peel everything.
It smells awesome.
I wouldn't say that it smells awesome. I don't like you doing this. You can't even go have fun.
I'll have fun.
You can't go out and sit at a bar without a cocktail. You'll die.
Stephanie can complain all she wants, but I have a bigger concern. I am out of food.
This isn't as romantic as I had anticipated.
But seriously, this is my last and final time. Well, I'm making some big
chicken shake-ups, nacho cheese.
How long can you
I'm so happy. Bread.
I mean, you're outside, running around looking for food, you know, but when the 30 days is up and the documentary is finished, it's over. You go back to being normal. The real issue here, and it kind of like really brings home what I was trying to say to you the other day, is that like the whole freeganism thing, it's all bullshit because it doesn't really address poverty and hunger, you know, and that's really what's going on with people throwing food out, you know? It's not just about like, oh, it's a cool thing to do because it's punk, but it's like there are people out there that are hungry, that are begging for food, and you're gonna find out in a couple of days when you start getting really hungry. And just remember that it ends for you. For other people, there isn't an end in sight.
Crap. That's a good point.
Almost as much written about as Madison Avenue, and just as much in need of reflection.
I never thought I'd say this, but I guess I have something in common with George Bush. I always thought of hunger as a beauty pageant platform. Not something we really have a problem with, at least not here in America. After all, we're the country of excess, of plenty, of obesity.
The type of hunger that we have in the United States is not the stark variety that you see in, say, third world countries where children have big tummies and thin limbs. What we have here is what the World Health Organization calls silent undernutrition. Every year, it's somewhere in the range of 33 to 36 million people that live in households that don't get enough to eat. So what that tells us is that we have what's called an endemic problem. It's there. It's not just spiking up. It's not spiking down. And I've heard some people erroneously or mistakenly say, well, hunger can't be a problem in America because so many adults and children are obese. But in fact, that's a real mistake. A person can be hungry and obese at the same time.
If I buy the cheaper, more highly processed foods that I can buy 3 for $1, 3 for $2, I might be able to keep my lights on. And sometimes they're very, very difficult choices that at the end of the day push people into eating habits which aren't necessarily to their health and to their benefit.
But that's also over time going to make that person obese. So we have two problems going on parallel in the US, sometimes interrelated, hunger and obesity. There are many things that happen to families in America, even people who think they're safely middle class, that are unforeseen.
You know, the things that I used to say I wouldn't do, girl, I'm not finna work at no McDonald's. I'm not gonna do this, I'm not gonna do that. I'm at the stage in my life where, bring on the fries, you know, because I'm looking at, I got kids to take care of.
Over the past few years, this endemic problem has become an epidemic. According to a 2008 study by the FDA, nearly 15% of American households are considered food insecure. Only about half of these households seek government assistance. In February 2010, the number of Americans seeking food stamps reached almost 40 million. That's the highest number since the program began in 1962. The average food stamp benefit is $4.50 per person a day. Now that's a lot of ramen, but not a lot of much else.
It's got 20 grams of saturated fat, 850 calories, and it's only $4.50. Plus, whatever your deductible is.
To qualify for food stamps, recipients must have a near poverty level of income. A large number of households seeking food stamps don't qualify and turn to their local food bank for help. So, who are these people? Where are they? Why do we not see them?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just can't. I can't provide for my kids the way I used to. And I don't know what to do about it.
hungry people, poor people are largely invisible, most of the time because they want to be. Nobody wants to be labeled as somebody who can't make it. Nobody wants to be thought of as a second-class citizen, if you will. And so poor folks a lot of times will go to great lengths to make sure that nobody knows the trouble that they're in.
Half the people that I have had relationships with, as far as came in contact with over the years, they don't even know I'm struggling. Because when I'm in front of them or when I see them or whatever, I'm always the same. You know, I'm always the same. What happens, you know, behind these doors, you know, I was brought up to where that's private.
I think that probably 80 or 90% of people who are experiencing hunger or food insufficiency can go to a soup kitchen or a food bank.
You know, food banks are always in a really very difficult situation. Often they don't have large refrigeration and storage. They run on shoestring budgets. The electricity it takes to actually run freezers, run refrigerators, and have someone there to sort through fruits and vegetables that might be rotting, it's expensive and time-consuming.
The food the pantries and kitchens are forced to give out is often very high in sugar, often very high in fat, often very high in sodium.
And a lot of it is about non-perishables, and this is one of those things. You got
food banks love our mac and cheese.
I'm gonna say, if this is sitting on the shelf, people have at least got some supper, right?
Food for them.
All right.
One way to get fresher food to food banks is through food recovery, like from the gleaning efforts of the Society of St. Andrew.
What gleaning entails is organizing groups of volunteers to go into the field after the harvest and pick up the vegetables that are left that are edible but didn't make grade A #1 standard and therefore weren't harvested. All in all, an annual production from our organization runs somewhere between 35 and 40 million pounds most years. It's important to take notice of the fact that that is just a drop in the bucket. We don't get but a very small percentage of the vegetables that are there to be eaten but are nevertheless thrown away. I wouldn't say we salvage any more than 1%.
Feeding America and their New York City branch called City Harvest rely on food recovery from the other end of the food cycle. Feeding America, the nation's leading health relief charity, provides food to an estimated 5.7 million people every week. That's 1.5% of the population.
We're going into some of the toughest times in American life economically that we've seen since the 1930s.
That would put the danger we face today on par with the Great Depression.
An awful lot of people are going to need assistance.
Over 40% of people seeking food from a food bank have a full-time job.
Food banks and the agencies that we serve were to help people in an emergency. Now, what's difficult today is that we're in a permanent emergency.
A sputtering economy and rising food prices have hiked demand for food aid, while food donations have sharply dropped.
But that's less than half what they need. Such a sad sign of the times.
Never in its 33-year history has it seen such a demand for food.
The number of people her agency serves goes up almost every week.
As wonderful as these charitable programs are, and they are amazing, what they've set up across the country over the past 20 years, we ought to be thinking, how can we reduce these so that Americans don't have to utilize them?
I've been doing this for a couple days now, and it's not getting any easier.
Ouch. Can you eat this midsection? Fine, but it's really hard. Do you think you can eat it?
Can I check? Can I? Should I take a bite? Oh, it's hard. I see where you took a bite.
See, so
hold on. Ew.
Union Square and stopped by Aubon Paint, and I got some nice bread, and then went to another one where I got some sweet stuff because I'm really excited. Like this. I can't wait to eat this. I've been doing Brooklyn the past couple days, and I've been starving, and I've been really depressed and really sad about the project and really hungry, and my problem was I was just going to the wrong borough. I don't want radishes. Cheese, milk. I'm not seeing. not seeing any of that. I need mayonnaise and salad dressing, though.
You have to buy that stuff.
No, I can't. That's cheating. That's the stuff that dreams are made of. So it's after midnight, so it's officially day 3, but technically still day 2.
I don't know what the Freegans are talking about. This is so hard.
Most of those who passed just got by. Nobody had 100%. This is the poorest class I've had in a long, long time. Most of you have no foundation at all.
Well, we can see trash bags thrown off.
Try this. Open this. You'll see interesting things.
What is in it?
Sandwiches.
Sandwiches?
I'm pretty sure.
You tell me the sandwiches.
Yeah.
This man has garbage bag radar, and I'm learning it from him. So, feel like something, man. Oh, those sandwiches. Sandwiches?
Told you.
My story.
Excuse me. We'll put it when you open your close. Yeah. That one was like that. I didn't open that, but I'll close it.
Yeah, we're gonna close it. We'll close it, man. We're not
Looking at people who work like crazy, who really aren't very happy, who bought into this idea that you're supposed to work hard and buy stuff and aren't enjoying their lives. We spend our entire lives paying off various debts to buy stuff that we're told is going to make us happy, yet never really does, and at never point are actually given the opportunity to figure out what in life really does matter to us. Okay, at our last dinner, for those of you who were there, I talked a little bit about an effort called A for Anarchy. This is a campaign to reclaim the anarchist politics of the book V for Vendetta. It's about a society much like the one that we're trying to build here, about cooperation, about mutual aid, about trust, about the idea that people don't need to be coerced into working together.
'Cause baby, I'm an anarchist, just fine as ever wrong. We march together for the 8-hour day. Out hands in the streets of Seattle, Reagan can't talk to the bricks, so that's all the sinners who left me all alone, all alone.
Strawberry salad?
I assumed that Adam and the New York City Freegans were indicative of Freegans everywhere. But now I'm in California and I've met Marco, a San Diego-based Freegan.
Yeah.
I'm the big germ freak, so at first I was like,
I don't care.
we wanted to be political, we wanted to be artistic, we wanted to have fun. So using those 3 things, we just started Freegan Kitchen, which is a satire of a cooking show and dumpster diving. We like to use humor to educate people rather than kind of cramming down into people's throats, because that's been kind of said for years, like the sky is falling, the world is, basically gonna self-destruct, and that's kind of fallen on deaf people's ears. I can see why some people think of it as anti-consumer.
I think capitalism needs to be destroyed.
I like to look at things like freeganism or dumpster diving actually as eco-entrepreneurship. We're kind of taking advantage of the opportunities that exist within this business framework. Currently, I don't get all my food from the dumpster. We're about 50% Freegan here. We've all tried it. We've all, tried to just cut out the ice cream, cut out the treats and stuff, and just stick to like grains or veggies. And that doesn't work because you fall off the wagon. So you have to like exercise moderation. And it's the same thing with this, like especially when you're bombarded with media messages or triggers to consume.
It's not any one practice, but a holistic lifestyle commitment to really living outside of a totally amoral economic system.
I know there's different schools of thought in freeganism, and I don't purport to speak for anything other than my own personal experience. I think You have to be honest with yourself and realize that I like participating in society. I like my popular media. I like nice things. But I think the most change is going to be affected when you recognize that you have to get people on your side. And you're not going to do that if you choose to isolate yourself.
I try to stay away from junk food.
For day 3, I headed upstate to Saratoga, New York with some classmates to work on a school project.
Then I'm living myself, I'll buy stuff and I don't get around to eating.
Yeah.
And like getting thrown out.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm thinking like...
It was good to get away from the city, but really hard to watch everyone eat their purchased food.
A sea of heartbreak, lost love and loneliness, memories of your caress, so divine how I wish you were mine again, my dear.
Breakfast!
I'm on the sea of tears.
Peanut butter! Oh, I'm so excited about having peanut butter. I don't want any more of these peanut butter. Let's see if they got something else, some more variety. Yeah, I need some fruits and vegetables, because I'm getting out my bread group, kind of down pat. But
why did you leave me? Always the same. A sea of heartbreak.
Yeah, Stuart's
oh, it's kind of hot.
Got a lot of food.
You did great.
Fall over
Why?
the dump.
Sea of heartbreak.
This is the money shot right here.
Sea of heartbreak. Sea of heartbreak.
See, this is still wrapped.
Yeah.
This is
That's wrap that goes in the bag.
peanut butter and butter. I had that for lunch. The peanut butter and butter is really good.
Sea of heartbreak.
It's a lot harder. Oh, the battery's almost dead.
Sea of heartbreak.
No. Cook plantains.
It took me a few days, but I finally discovered my bad bananas were simply plantains.
Plantains have to be cooked. Oh, they have to be cooked. Place a piece of plastic on each of the plates of a tortilla press. I don't have a tortilla press. Fry both sides until crisp and golden brown. Can you fry eggplant too? Let's see. How to cook eggplant. It's a big chunk of butter. My roommates are ordering Mexican food for dinner.
That would be a burrito. It's warm. It's been prepackaged. You smell?
Yeah, I actually did that a lot when I was out of town this weekend with the boys upstate. I would go through the line with them when they go buy food and just like smell it and just kind of stare at it. I'm content with that. Oh, that smells so good.
No, but what did you?
Chicken noodle and shrimp bisque. Oh, that's what's leaking. I'm making the biggest mess right now. I definitely need to wash my hands. I just washed this coat yesterday. Wait, I'm so excited about my soup and it's leaking. You just little, not like this size? Okay. Okay. Thank you. Oh, I'm still leaking.
You're leaking and nobody wants to talk to you.
I'm not finding what I thought I'd find.
What were you thinking you're gonna find?
Well, the one time I went to Freegans and like what I've seen on the news, like, 'cause there have been some news things about them, they found like all kinds of fruits and vegetables, and I think that it's because there's so many of them, and that helps. Like, I think that I need a few partners in crime, and you split up and you'll tackle more bags at once, and that's the way I think that you get the most. But I do smell like shrimp bisque, and there's not, like, smelling like day old shrimp is really hot. bread is so fresh, it's fabulous. You want a bite?
No, Mom. What is that? We were wondering what the fuck all that was.
It's cream of asparagus soup.
What is all that? What is all this soup?
It was at this place uptown.
Hopefully in a
trash.
can. In a can.
In a plastic container.
What? Are you kidding?
Germs cause cholera. Others cause typhoid fever, plague, and such diseases.
I brought cupcakes for everyone in the class, and I'm gonna see one of my classes. I'm gonna see if anyone wants to eat them. They're from the trash.
He's doing like his.
Mine's kind of hard. Is the only problem.
Maybe I gotta get
I'll admit, it's like probably. That's really.
Part of the fear of it, or the concern about it, I think stems from these fears that we have about the sanitation aspect of it. The idea that careful of germs. The fact of the matter is there are very few germs probably that are really harmful that you're going to pick up from just eating, food that comes in a dumpster.
Do you tell your doctor that you eat food from the trash?
I'm trying to remember. I don't know. I'm trying to think if it ever came up.
In addition to doing work on food recovery and gleaning at USDA, I was involved in food safety issues. My motto is, when in doubt, throw it out. There's a reason it's in the dumpster, and besides even the food that's in the dumpster, goodness knows what else is in there.
I think there's rats in dumpsters because they need a place to get food and it's disgusting. I mean, rats feed out of dumpsters. That's what rats do.
Well, I have lots of rats around my place anyway, so I think I'm exposed to rats, and I've never really seen rats in the dumpster. I don't think that's a problem.
When I was a kid, I worked at a fast food joint, just like a lot of kids did, and the horrors that went on with cockroaches and food put on the ground and then picked up and put back in the burger because, you're rushing this fast food out. I mean, that's been indelibly etched in my mind. So I think when I pick out this salad mix bag, that's perfectly wrapped, in a dumpster, or asparagus, it's like totally fine.
I dumpster dive in my bare feet.
And do you wear gloves?
Never.
Have you ever been sick?
From Freeganism? No.
I'm sure something has happened at one time or another, but very seldom. And the food that I get from the dumpster is in general very healthy. And you should remember that even if you do get a little diarrhea, which happens once in a while, although very seldom to me, it just stimulates the immune system.
The immune system works by being exposed to things, and when it's not exposed to things, then it doesn't have any inherent capability, a standing army of blood cells that are trained to recognize other bacteria. React to them. I don't want to go on record as saying that there's nothing harmful from it, but it's, I think a lot of it has to do with the aesthetic of it all.
Now there's an understatement. This stuff can get nasty. The Freegans like to travel in pets. Maybe that's my problem. I need a partner in crime. Nothing better than an out-of-work actor.
Just feel around them and then don't make a mess.
And even Stephanie came along to help out.
Oh wait, Cat. Oh, never mind. No, none of this looks good. Nothing.
Did you go through all these?
Seldom. I went through one of them.
Which one did you go through?
That one.
This one? Or this one? You're not helping.
Feels like a winner for me.
I hope so. There hasn't been anything.
Cat, why'd you wear a white jacket?
Because my black one's dirty.
It definitely looks good, but it was really thrown in with a bunch of other trash.
It was thrown in with a bunch of pastries.
No. Cat, you're eating your little sandwich from Starbucks. How is it?
I found prepackaged salads.
Nice.
Nice.
No.
Cupcakes?
That is not good.
They're muffins. They're wrapped.
I'm regulating on that. No.
Like they take them out individually and put them.
I don't.
chicken?
Yeah. It totally smells like chicken nuggets. But it was in Starbucks doesn't sell chicken.
Was that Starbucks?
It was Starbucks. Just the top. I don't understand. It was totally closed.
There were 4 muffins missing.
You said you wanted it.
Turns out everything really is more fun with a friend. I'm beginning to think maybe the Freegans are onto something.
The Clean Plate Club.
Now that I've gotten the hang of this, I guess it makes me wonder just how much wasted food is out there for the taking.
My mom always told me make a happy plate.
What's a happy plate?
A happy plate is just a plate that has nothing on it. You ate all your food, so therefore you're happy, and you go to sleep. You made a happy plate.
Most of the food waste isn't what people leave on their plate. It's errors that occur back in the kitchen, back in the planning systems, in the storage and transportation systems.
This is Timothy Jones. He did an 8-year anthropological study called The Garbage Project. It was an anthropological look at our modern society through seeing how much we waste.
One of the great shockers when they first started studying this and got a number of years of data together was the amount of waste. Nobody was even aware it was happening.
This is how our culture thinks, like, you know, like, oh, throw that away, it's terrible, you know, or if it has a little mark on it, you know, and we do that on such a large scale.
One bad tomato or one bad orange, they throw away the whole package, the whole bag, the whole box, whatever it is.
I mean, the American system of food production is probably the most efficient in the world. I mean, there is waste in the system.
At least 40 to 50% of all the food that is up and ready to harvest never gets eaten.
It's about 150 billion pounds of food that's wasted per year. To put that into perspective, about every 2 days, the U.S. would fill up the Rose Bowl in Pasadena with food waste. So that's a 90,000-seat stadium.
There is probably nobody in the country that likes to throw food away less than the fellow that grew it.
Jack of diamonds, I know you of old. Rob my poor pocket of silver and gold. Whiskey like a ride, tree don't fall on me. I'll live till I die.
Oh, there's a lot of things can go wrong. It is. Disease pressure, the insect pressure, good weather conditions. I've got one field now that I've got to plow under because it just didn't get enough rainfall. There's not enough there to justify the cost of what it takes to operate the machinery and the labor. You cannot count anything until you got it all in that trailer. That's when you pretty much can count on that. Once they leave the shelling plant, those is immatures and little splits and little cracks, duck peanuts, they go to the oil companies and they crush those for oil. They get the oil out of them and use the meal to make meal. Here in the United States, you know, I think people are more abundant to have a little more waste. But see all the work that goes in, the costs there, they would be a little more, we'd be a little more cautious of being, you know, wasteful.
So we have it down to a science. We pretty much know what we can sell and we throw very little out. We know exactly what our consumers are buying, when they want to buy it, how they want to buy it, and that allows us to be able to sell the product and not throw it out.
Well, if you weren't to make money, you weren't to draw a profit, the more you waste, the more you're taking your money and just throwing it out the window. I would say in large establishments, hotels, big corporate events, this is where you have a lot more waste because there's no bottom line to it. There's no one that's going to have any major loss to themselves. But at the individual mom and pop restaurants, I think this is where we make our living, and it'd be very difficult for us to lose any percent of it.
A problem with the whole food industry that people don't want to admit there's waste. They think that if they admit there's waste, somehow that's an admission that they're a bad program manager.
Hi, Catherine. This is Maureen Ryan with the National Restaurant Association. We have been reading some emails, and I just want to get in touch with you about the documentary that you're working on. I know you're coming to DC next week and wanted to get an interview, but we don't really have anyone who will kind of be like an expert on this issue. Mercedes, I'm not helping. Sorry, in the meeting.
issue, Martin speaking.
I've been living off the food I've been finding in the trash outside your store and was wondering if there was someone I could talk to about that and your policy on food waste. Hello?
Garden of Eden calling you back, calling in response to your request for an interview. We can't do it right now, and actually I'm unable. Our corporate policy won't allow it. We only speak to Associated Press. I'm afraid I have to decline. It's not a good time. I cannot officially comment on your findings in the trash outside our store, but would strongly advise you not to eat it. We are very careful with our food and waste very little. I'm confident if it's in the trash, it's there for a reason.
So there are plenty of reasons there are food waste that go way beyond anyone's control, but it was a real problem in the federal government to sort of get people to admit they're not a bad farmer, they're not a bad chef, they're not a bad business person if occasionally there is leftover food.
The food industry not wanting to admit there's waste is a big issue because it makes addressing the problem almost impossible, and Joel Berg would know. He was the first and only USDA coordinator of food recovery and gleaning. Berg was appointed by Secretary of Agriculture Dan Glickman to address the food waste issue. He held this position from 1996 to 1999. Since then, the USDA has not had any food waste initiatives in place.
Why they're not looking at this problem and why they're not dealing with the problem is the fact that it was never instilled into them at a young age. Me, I was raised on the farm, and I was raised as a Native American, so that I learned to appreciate that life I was taking. I was taught, I'm killing something in order for me to live. I should show respect to that thing I killed. I shouldn't waste it. Wasting it is telling that your life is worthless. Most Americans haven't been taught that because we haven't lived on farms in generations now.
Soy sauce?
I don't know, let me ask.
I remembered tonight that my birthday is in 2 days, so tonight's finds become extra special.
I found my birthday cake. It's a little baby New York cheesecake, so I'm so excited. I love cheesecake. Unless I find something bigger and better, but... Oh, this one has... No, that one's good. Okay.
I found coffee. It smells amazing.
Beef salad, chef salad, barbecue chicken, and cheesecake.
Definitely eating sushi out of the trash too.
So you're not gonna eat your lobster pieces?
Eat them all separate lobster.
And for the first time in 2 weeks, I get to drink something besides tap water, a cup of black coffee.
Too big of a sip. You have to take it in small doses because it's like it kind of has that bite.
It smells like beef.
I think it smells good. It smells like a beef salad.
There's a weird trash smell that your food has.
Just like, no, not the food. Just like it's my life. Yeah. It's what I'm doing for dressing. I don't remember. Why do I need to wash it on the outside if I'm just using the juice on the inside?
Because you're touching it with your hands and washing it.
I think I did. I honestly, though, I don't remember.
Probably not.
At this point, it doesn't really matter.
You haven't found salad dressing yet? You've been searching? That tastes really bad.
The tomato tastes so funny.
And out. Ah. Good. 108/64.
So my blood pressure went down?
So your blood pressure's gone down. But, you know, those kinds of fluctuations are normal.
Right.
It's done nothing to adversely affect
Right.
your blood pressure. See, there's no change in your blood count, okay? No indication that anemia is developing or anything that we need to be concerned about there. No indication of an infection. Your white blood count is normal.
So I brought my packed lunch.
Yeah, Kat, what do you have?
I have pear that I cut the skins off of, and another egg salad sandwich from Starbucks. I'm a little over them. I've been eating them like every day. But I've had the same $20 bill in my wallet for like 10 days.
But really, how time consuming is it? You know? Like, no one has enough time.
No. Like, it's definitely way too time consuming, but just like, it's so weird to save that much money. Like, those little tiny things you don't think about, like soda and snacks and food and sushi and whatnot, it adds up. Like, how much was your lunch?
12.
$12? That adds up.
Yeah, it does. But it's so good. No.
Dude, I've been eating this stuff for 2 weeks and I'm fine. Do you like egg salad?
I do.
It has cheese on it too. The bread's really good. The bread's sweet. What?
I don't know.
Come on. Okay, I'll try a bite. Give it a bite. If you die, your parents can sue you for lots of money. But I don't have to.
It's good, but
it's just in your head.
I know. I think you're way too comfortable with it these days.
Okay. Okay. Damn, look at that. 16, 17. Shut up. Today's day 18. No, I counted that wrong. Wait. 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Yeah, today's day 18. Oh, I'm getting kind of sad. I don't really want to.
Yeah, you don't have to stop.
Spending 2 weeks, or I guess 18 days now, not spending a penny on food, not even like buying bottled water. It was like this hot. It was so amazing. Like I feel like I beat the system in some sort of weird way. Even though I still shop and like, I don't know. Like I like it now. It's weird. Like I kind of got used to it, and probably the strangest thing though is that I'm beginning to think that I really will continue to do it afterwards. What are you guys drinking?
Tequila and OJ. Second Bacardi, a lot of Bacardi, and some Diet Pepsi.
What are you drinking? Oh yeah?
Ice water.
How's that?
I think it hurts me more than it hurts you at some points because I'm like, Hannah. I called Hannah from work the other day. She's like, Hannah. So Mary is with her family. Alyssa's with Andre. Cat's eating trash. I was like, Janelle's with her boyfriend. You and I are the only ones.
I was gonna hit up a few places on the lower part of the island of Manhattan. Just something about trash in the rain doesn't sound terribly appealing.
So all the food I'm missing out on tonight, where does it go?
We live on a globe, and on a globe, there's no away. You can't throw anything away. All you can do is move it into somebody else's backyard.
Where does my garbage go? In the trash. I wouldn't be surprised if they just buried it all.
In the trash can outside my apartment building.
Jersey, right?
To the landfill, in the sewers, on the street.
Garbage goes to a landfill
Up in the Bronx, I think. Around here anyway.
Gets compacted, I'm sure it goes to either New Jersey or Staten Island.
All of it is going out of state. 68% of it goes to a landfill in Pennsylvania. Waste from the Bronx goes to a landfill in Virginia. It depends on which borough you're in, but it's going to some landfill out of state somewhere.
Now, 17% of what's in landfills is food waste. If I had wanted to visit my food before 2001, I could have easily done it. It would have been at Fresh Kills Landfill in Staten Island, the largest landfill on the planet until it closed in 2001. Since Fresh Kills is now closed and my food waste is being moved out of state, I instead opted to visit the largest operating landfill we have in America today, Puente Hills Landfill in Los Angeles, California. They didn't offer me a tour, although I did run into a bus full of 5th graders, and their nice teacher let me tag along.
No one wants a landfill in their neighborhood anymore. This was built in 1927, so there's very few landfills. They're almost filled up, and this one's almost filled up another year. So we're going to, like I said earlier, we're going to send the trash about 200 miles south in the desert where there's a mine that we're going to fill up and send it there by railroad. You saw the railroad tracks going by. We're going to have it full of trash.
I don't remember doing anything like this when I was in 5th grade.
I'm having a lot of fun with the reactions that I'm getting from people who run into me and they haven't seen me for a while, and they're like, I hear you're like doing some thing where you're eating trash. Is that true? And they're like, what? Oh my gosh, what have you been eating? Oh, and an orange. Nice pudding. And this looks good. This is like the homemade stuff. Homemade Mexican mild salsa, $4.99. I'm so happy. Oh, I could kiss it, but I'm not going to because it was in the trash. But I'm gonna eat it. I guess the biggest problem at this point, and it's a very real problem, is that I don't have room. I have no idea where I'm gonna put all this stuff. We have farm fresh brown eggs and beautiful, beautiful, lovely eggs. I found room for the bread.
Wow. Well, what are you willing to share?
Janelle, did you ever think that you'd be eating the food I brought home from the trash?
No, I really didn't.
Yeah, we found eggs that expire on April 23rd.
Wow.
Yeah, we had to leave. We left a few burritos behind and some sauces. There's just so much.
Yeah, okay, what else can you put in front of us?
This looks good. Look, doesn't this look good? Italian cold pasta salad.
Looks delicious to me. I don't know, the cheese kind of looks runny. Like,
it does not look runny.
A little bit. No, I would never eat. This looks unappetizing.
It's Mediterranean salad.
See, I would probably eat it.
What about honey barbecue?
No. Oh, pesto is always good. Where'd you get all the donuts?
I want that one.
Where?
That definitely says May 4th.
Where is it from?
I look.
Tell me this. Was it in a package? Well, it was in a bag. I'll buy it.
It was in a bag. The only thing in the bag were the other pastries.
No, I can't eat that. Here, come on, Sharon. No.
Just try it.
Oh God, I'm such a hypocrite right now.
The hypocrisy is the best. How is it? Another bite.
I know. Dude. What's in the middle of it? I don't know. It's like that.
Something fabulous.
Something
deliciousness. I rarely ever eat fresh fruit. first I was a little cautious, so then like anyone that's, whenever I meet people that are very, very political, like one way, I'm always kind of cautious and want to sort of sit back and observe them for a little while, but they don't really let you do that. I don't feel like they judge me, but like you can't hang out with them and see what they're doing and think about it and see what they see and see life and the world through their point of view, and then not examine your own life. You guys are fun! I believe you! I believe! I have a hard time leaving things plain now that I have little things to put on them.
Okay, so let's review. We have 350 billion pounds of food produced annually stateside. Depending on who you ask, somewhere between 30 and 50% of this food never reaches our mouths. We have about 40 million people who could use it, and current food recovery initiatives rescue less than 5%. So where do we go from here?
Don't have to be a mathematician to figure out that there's enough food thrown away in this country to where if you just quit throwing it away, you'd have ample supply to feed everybody that ever goes hungry.
We have had programs in Arizona where we used prisoners who love to get outdoors. They like to get out, you know. And we went and collected their stuff that we got straight out of the fields that were going to be just turned under. And that was enough to feed over 200,000 people.
We don't have hunger, in other words, because of lack of productivity, but it's the distribution system, and it's the systems that they set up to protect their people through public policies that are lacking. So that's basically what's happening here.
You can't feed huge quantities of people in an efficient way by rescuing surplus food. It's in a multitude of restaurants, and it's in people's houses, and you can do some of it, and some of that food goes to food banks and shelters, which are important. But many, many, many more people will be fed using food stamps and the other, basically, safety net government programs.
When I was at USDA in the 1990s, we did a study that showed that 96 billion pounds of food a year went to waste. That was about 27% of the food supply. But you cannot then make the jump to say, oh boy, that's 96 billion pounds we could be feeding hungry people. A lot of it's spoiled, a lot of it's bones, a lot of it's peels, and a lot of it is in places that is so expensive to gather, package, and pick up. It would actually be more expensive to get this free food from a distant location than it would be to buy food for hungry people at a closer location.
Actually, it wouldn't, because let's say when you use cheap labor, you can get it for about $1 to $2 an hour. And that's paying prisoners, and we have lots of prisoners. You were in turn getting food that was going to be destroyed anyway. The cost, you've got to begin to calculate, what did it cost to get that food up and ready? Well, if you just turn it under, nobody calculates the cost of that waste. You're now reducing water pollution, air pollution, dependence on foreign oil. You're doing all these things, and what's the value of all that?
The biggest problem with getting people to donate excess food is concerns over the cost of an entirely different nature.
What a lot of folks worry about is, let's say, a restaurant or a cafeteria is well, I'd love to donate this food, but I might get liable if somebody, gets sick off the food.
They'll use the excuse of, well, there's a liability. Well, there's already a law that says if you donate the food and you don't intentionally give them poisoned food and they have to prove that you intentionally gave them poisoned food, if anything happens, you're totally off the hook.
It's true. In 1996, President Clinton signed the Good Samaritan Act. Good Sam protects food donors from liability should anyone who consumes their donated food become ill.
Well, these are laws. There's a federal law and there are state laws that immunize people from liability in certain circumstances if they serve or pick up or transport surplus food.
But this is America. We sue for everything. So I tracked down an attorney to get the real scoop.
No, I don't think it is a complete protection. I think it's a partial protection. If someone were to get seriously ill, there's a possibility that they would bring a lawsuit. And even if the provider of the food, the hotel or restaurant, were found not liable in the litigation, it would still cost them hundreds of thousands of dollars to defend the case.
And I can say, after handling probably 250 million pounds of food here in my food bank, that nobody's ever gotten sick and there's never been a lawsuit around judicious handling of food.
I have not seen any cases dealing with this question of donated food or suits against restaurants or hotels who have provided food to food banks.
The Good Samaritan Food Donation Act is actually a fascinating case study of how perception trumps reality. And as far as I know, there was not one lawsuit, no less a successful lawsuit, against a good faith donor before the Bill Emerson Act came into effect. That being said, there was the perception that people could get sued, or sometimes, frankly, it was an excuse by companies that they were worried about getting sued. So the Clinton administration worked with Congress to pass this law that created a national federal standard to protect donors.
So what's the problem? Apparently, no one seems to know about it.
The liability laws in this country is if something goes wrong, they'll sue you. So if you can't sell it, you can't give it away, you throw it away.
This is John Katzimatidis, owner and CEO of Gristedes, a very popular New York City grocery store chain, and one of my new favorite stomping grounds. He is one of the richest men in America, making the Forbes billionaire list, and is quite the philanthropist. Ironically, he isn't a member of any anti-hunger initiatives, and it appears no one clued him in about the Good Samaritan Act.
Garbage is garbage. You don't know what happens.
So if this guy isn't donating food, who is? One way to make people aware of Good Sam is to, well, get the lawmakers involved again. In 2008, California State Senator Jenny Oropeza drafted an unprecedented bill to close the gap between food waste and hunger. Senate Bill 1443 would allow the customer to determine what caterers did with their leftover food. In particular, the customer can mandate the caterers to donate the food to local food banks.
The question is this A, fiscally responsible, and B, morally required?
I don't know how anybody could say I'm responsible for any type of waste when I'm already the one who purchased it and I'm the one who's trying to sell it, and now I'm going to be responsible for the waste side.
I wouldn't want additional laws. I think it's asking the people in the industries, how can we help this, make this work for you?
To donate back all of the food to a food bank I think would work. It's just not as easy as someone would that's not in the industry knows, because you have to get in touch with the food bank to pick it up. They only have certain hours to pick it up, and you have to hold on to the food until that happens. And most of your big catering parties are through the evening and a lot on the weekends, and the food banks are not always available to pick up your leftovers.
I guess what I'm hoping is to appeal to the best in people and have that be the prevailing force that propels the bill forward.
If there's a big party tonight for 1,000 people and you're at a big event, someone has to be there waiting to get rid of the food. You can't take this food and say, I'm going to take it all back with me tonight, and then refrigerate it and hold on to it and repackage it. You would have to have them showing up at the event, and as the event breaks down, be willing to take the food away from the event.
The devil is in the details. I agree. We need to move carefully and cautiously on it to make sure it's workable, but it can be done.
I've been a very strong advocate of trying to eliminate a lot of waste in the food cycle and provide that to the hungry. But I must tell you, that is not going to solve the hunger problem in this country. That is a very small part.
You go all across the country and you're starting about this distribution, recovery, and everything. You end up with a system that probably wouldn't cost more than about, I'd say, in the $150 to $200 million range, and would have enough food for about 60 to 80 million people, which would take care of everybody that needed food. And then you could open up the food banks and say, if you need food, you don't have to qualify, you don't have to do anything. You simply come here and get food. So people who are marginal, let's say that, yeah, they could afford food, but let's ease up part of their budget to increase the economy, because then they'll spend it on other things. Let them come and get food. That money that's eased up now goes to something else.
There is no one simple solution to hunger in this country. It is disgraceful that we throw so much food away, but that's just because we're a country of abundance. Maybe these tough economic times, which I think are going to last for a few years, maybe that will provide an incentive for everybody to get together and use a variety of tools to deal with hunger.
They're only $169. Those are hot too. Those are so cute. I don't like the huge D&G on the side, but they're cute.
They kind of look like those like old people sunglasses that you wear when you get like eye surgery.
I love sunglasses so bad. Yeah.
What sunglasses do you have now? Aren't they Dolce & Gabbana?
Versace.
It's premium meat, small hot sopressata. Do you want sausage? Did you guys throw out cake? Did you throw out cake?
I don't know.
You don't know?
For my last forage, I went all out. I wasn't feeding the masses, but I did have my very own Freegan dinner party to throw.
Why is the fish in with the cake? Organic, cage-free, extra large eggs. So pretty. These expire in like 2 weeks. We should just keep the fancy.
Okay. Are these all good?
There's like one broken one.
Now there's more.
Would you like pork and duck pate with orange peel topped with aspic? This is $11. That's crazy.
Looks like the smallest waste of $11 I've ever seen.
Caviar is smaller. Oh. Jackpot?
Find it?
I found something. I see prepackaged something. It's always too easy now. Look at all that. I've never had bread pudding. I'm gonna try. Macaroni and cheese, Italian sausage frittata, bread pudding.
I'm a righteous dumpster diver, dude. Yeah, I'm a righteous
Ta-da! Come look, I made deviled eggs.
How?
It's a surprise.
I've never had one before.
Well, you still can say that you've never had one before if you have this.
You looked at a cookbook?
No, I didn't look at a cookbook. I put peppers, onion, and then creme fraiche in water. Oh, you got a pepper. I heard crunchy.
I like the pepper. I went for the pepper. It looked good.
Really?
No, that's fabulous.
But they're so pretty.
They are pretty. I'm just not a big egg person.
I'm not either.
Yes, goodbye to garbage.
Italian sausage frittata, corn tamales, some sort of eggplant pate thing that I don't really know what it is, but it looked really nice. Different variations of bread. These are deviled eggs that I tried to make. Yeah, I don't know. They're not real deviled eggs, but you can try them. This is creme fraiche, which is like butter and cream, but I didn't really find butter, so you kind of have to deal with it. This is banana chocolate chunk bread. Cheers! Woo!
Going to search for food like an animal is concerning, and not sleeping because you're looking for food at 3 in the morning when the food is finally in the dumpster.
I guess it's made me realize that one could definitely survive on what we waste, but I don't know if I still have gotten over the aesthetic difficulties of pulling food from the trash and eating it.
You know what? I went to Starbucks today. I got a coffee and I saw their packaged cheese plate or their packaged paninis, whatever it might be. And what if someone didn't buy them that day when they were thrown out? I'm like, that's Kat's food now, and she got it for free.
I'm gonna eat something. I'm not sure what yet.
I did learn from it, and I would never be a Freegan, but at the same time it works for you for the month, but I hope you never go back to it.
Your blood pressure today is 104/60. It's excellent.
Good.
It's excellent. Everything is good. Your total cholesterol is down to 185 from 205.
Is that a pretty good decrease, or is that average? Or?
That's a substantial. That's 20 points. That's a substantial decrease. You are as healthy coming out of this as you were going in, and your cholesterol picture actually suggests improvement in that from what you were before you started.
That's pretty exciting.
It's pretty, yeah.
What do you know?
That's something to think about.
So, are the Freegans crazy, ingenious, or somewhere in between?
From the moment we're born until the moment we die, we consume and we work, but we have no real say in either our fate or the fate of our society. I would like to see this entire social model abolished, and for us to return to one much more rooted in the lifestyles of indigenous communities that have been relatively sustainable over the course of tens of thousands of years, and in some cases millions of years.
They have an idea, yes, that there is a lot of food, and they do bring people aware of it.
Something brand new. I never heard of it before.
What I see negative about Freegans is they put a social agenda to it. And their social agenda is to get rid of consumerism. Well, we've been in consumerism in this country for 130 years now. Even if you wanted to change it, whatever it takes to build something, it takes about that long to get rid of it and do something else. It doesn't do us any good right now to attack the consumerist system. What we need to do is understand it and make it the most efficient we can right now.
The greatest irony of all, most Freegans I've met are not people from low-income backgrounds. They're middle or upper middle class people who are wanting to send a message. That's fine, but let's not give anyone the impression that's a serious response to the 35.5 million Americans who can't afford food on a regular basis.
It really doesn't make sense to me. I don't care. I'd rather go and eat at a nice restaurant. That's me, and I don't care. But I mean, I still don't get what they're doing.
What I'm worried about is what's called compassion burnout, where there are too many problems for one individual to address.
Let the world take care of its own worries. You'll help yourself most by concentrating on your own affairs.
Personally, my goal is the destruction of capitalism and the creation of an economy, really the creation of a post-economic society.
That's all right. What I'm more worried about is what are we going to do next year? What are we going to be doing 5 years from now?
Well, frankly, I think we're fucked.
I think the future is just utter doom and chaos now. I know it's possible to grow or find my own food, to create my media, to interact with people on a global level. So I'm not too worried because I realize of the power that I have on a personal level.
Economy can fail. People are gonna think what they want to think. The government gonna do what they're gonna do. You know, I know I'm a person, and I know that I can get up and I can keep trying. So every day I keep trying, every day. And maybe one day somebody will see that, you know, and say, you know, we're gonna give her a chance. And see, that's all I need. That's all I need is a chance to get my foot back in the door. And then I can make my own path from there.
It's even hard for myself to say what I think of the Freegans and dumpster diving now that my experiment is over. I'm trying to put everything into perspective, but everything I see is trash.
What I learned from diving dumpsters is that all people are really just smoke and mirrors. It's all showbiz, baby. I mean, these things that awe people, whatever it is, political power, administrative bureaucracies, the glitz and glamour of Hollywood, the awesome might of the United States military, whatever these things are that awe people, to a great degree, they are showbiz, they are a facade. And when you crawl around and you look at their discards, you look at their trash, You pour through their documents that you weren't meant to see, and you realize dumpster diving is a no bullshit approach to reality. And every dumpster, to some degree, is deconstructing reality.
People think like you need to like be at the extreme, be core, or else like, you know, you're selling out or you're not true to the cause.
You could probably look through this condo and find just as many products or things that were anti-freeganism or anti-feminist, or, you know, you could probably find, like, point at all these things and say, oh, these guys are sellouts, or they're not really political because they own XYZ or whatever, and activists cut each other down because there's this
like
measuring stick in this contest.
People are looking at me like, what is this man's problem? But that's okay. People do that all the time.
What?
Look at me and wonder what the fuck I'm doing.
That's okay. You don't mind other people who stare?
What do I care? Sometimes they ask questions and they learn, and other times they don't, and they wander on in puzzlement. And it doesn't bother me. Okay, that didn't work. I tried. A noble endeavor. This is not nearly one of the more attractive finds we've ever generated, but oh well.
You have a whole one. Someone can come by and take that one.
Put it on top like...
I gotta get moving. I gotta get up early and catch a ride.
Instead of, you know, a Freegan, we can just call him someone that's frugal, or instead of an environmentalist, you call him a nature lover. And when you do that, it gives you a different perspective, and then you realize like that's something that is inherent in everyone.
Working with someone that's a Freegan and you're like, oh, what are you doing after work today? You know, I'm gonna go dumpster dive a little bit and go get some food for later and bring it and put it in my corporate fridge tomorrow. No, they don't have normal jobs.
It's drinking.
A skinny bitch.
What's a skinny bitch?
Vodka and Diet Coke.
Vodka and Diet Coke. Very cool. I never did get liquor or beer out of the trash.
That was a problem. Your birthday was horrible.
I had fun on my birthday.
I didn't. You weren't drunk.
True. It was like, I think the only sober birthday I've had since I was like 12.
Yeah, it was a bust, total bust. I don't care what you say, you're lying.
With these songs, maybe there's something wrong with the audience manipulation. In rock music, fucking Nazi. I'm losing touch. I'm losing touch. I'm losing touch. I'm losing touch. And it's obvious. I'm losing touch.